People spend so much money, time, energy, effort, everything you can think of, driving traffic to their website. Quick show of hands, who's trying to drive traffic to their website? Cool, 1, 2, 3, sweet, 4, sweet. Some younger guys in the back there, we're thinking about it, I like it. Usually that ends up with, oh, it didn't really work. We did PPC, we did this, we did that. We paid loads for on social ads and nothing really worked, right? So today I'm going to spend about 30 minutes talking you through some of the reasons why your website isn't necessarily doing the things you're expecting it to do. My name is Rob. I'm the founder of the Pursuit Agency, and our team take customers all the way from all of those different tactics into turning their website into a revenue-generating machine. And I will get good at this. I feel rusty. I've had a couple of months off. I love this quote. No idea where I found it. Could not tell you who created it. But people ignore design that ignores people. Would you look at a plain banner ad? Would you see something that just isn't interesting on the wall? We've all come around here today, even though I'm a United fan, and thinking, look at this impressive artwork on the walls. There's a couple of seasons that hurt. Come on, you can do it. Come on. Fantastic. It's there. It's definitely there. We'll do it this way, guys. We'll go a bit ad hoc. I'll spin around slightly for a minute. Anybody remember these types of things on the internet? Our good old friends, Bill Gates, and the types of things that he did on those early websites. Were they really that engaging? No, they were just nuts, and we just found the internet. What we're really looking for as users is something that's going to engage us, really make us want to interact with the website. And as I mentioned a minute ago, that's the sort of things I'm going to be talking about today. It worked this time. Look at that. It's all about the angle. So how do we make sure we're giving our customer the best experience on their website? Excuse the cheesy photos. My team made me do it. I have a huge background in search engine marketing, so SEO, all that magic, fugazi stuff. There's a real big process behind it, and pay-per-click advertising. And one of the biggest impacts, before we get into the more interesting things, is your website speed. And it's let me down again. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. And now it's jarred 3 yards forward. This is going well, isn't it? So run your page speed checks. It's a quick, if you Google it, you can Google page speed insights. And what we ultimately want is a website that loads quick, because what do? We all get fed up of it and we disappear. It's a pretty plain and simple one, but I like to throw it in there just to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our customers. No one wants to engage with something that's slow, doesn't solve my problem quick enough, because I want instantaneous results. You think about how app development, and obviously the App Store and all those pieces, the ideology behind that was it's even quicker access to get to what I want. And like I said, that tool there is a Page Speed Insights. It's from directly from Google, but there are other things like GT Metrics. If you work with web devs and so on and so forth, obviously you can just layer a list of things out, or send them a link and let it be their problem to fix. If you do find it interesting, one of the quickest wins I often find is, depending on what your websites are built on, but obviously looking at the types of image file sizes you're uploading. There's a really, really quick win usually. I want to get into the more kind of important parts of that process. We've talked about a quick bit of technical jargon and noise, which you can throw straight at a developer. But ultimately, what we want to think about is, what are we doing with our website? So go and take a quick look at that homepage. We'll get there. We'll get there. We want to be thinking about that content that's coming across. The first thing I land on the front of the website is, can we really address our visitors' problems, their problems, not ours, and what we can solve for them? Actually address their issues. Zen Founder do a fantastic job of this. Burnout and isolation are not part of your job description. I don't know what that is, but as a business owner, I'm already aligned to, you can solve a problem for me. So thinking about that kind of hero statement that can really get across. Using visual representations of that, if you can as well, is again absolutely great, and a fantastic, nice little clean header banner. One of my favorite tips, take a look at how many times on your across your website, particularly on your homepage, how many times you say you versus we, us, our, and how much we do, rather than talking to our customers. So it's a real big content piece in that. Well, the amount of websites I've looked at over the years, it's very much, I solve this problem, I'm really awesome, we do all these awesome things, versus you've got a problem, let me talk to you and recognize that, and then begin to give you more information on how you can solve your problem. And we're here to help. One of the things, really key things, again, you're thinking about, you found yourself 2, 3 key messages that you really want to get across. It's that layout, and the next step for that is that layout, and it's making sure that we're really clear on how we want our user to move on. Our homepage's job is to take the user to the next page. Unless you've got a particular sales paid advertising funnel, whether you want to keep them all on one specific landing page, That process is very, very different to your homepage or your website. The objective is to take them off somewhere else. Xero do a great example of this for the average business owner again. Pay bills, VAT returns, claim expenses. It's very simple things I can go in and understand straight away. These are tasks and challenges that I have, or in a finance function or whatever, to go and begin to solve these problems. So they're already thinking about where does my user really want to be and really where to go. Obsess over honest education. We're in a society now where everybody just wants to communicate their opinion, and your website's a great place to start with that. I'm sure we've all heard of HubSpot, or at least been sold to them twice. But they're a perfect example of building an ultimate content marketing machine. Like I said, I'm in the digital marketing space. They're a great example. I see and love the type of content they put together. But they're just focusing on solving our customers' problems and issues. And again, that becomes pivotal to what we want from a customer. Have you seen how many emails have you downloaded or templates you've downloaded? Yes, this is one of my that is one of my favorite inspired books. But it really gets you thinking, and I took the line on honest education from Marcus Sheridan. I watched him speak many years ago. He's a very inspirational guy. And having that same best in class, which is great, you've read that book, opportunity here, it just gives you an opportunity to demonstrate value to your customers and position yourself as an expertise. In the search engine marketing game, there's a piece of language called topical authority. And the idea behind that being for your website, and coined by John Mueller, who works at Google, is no website is going to be considered authoritative with less than 30 pages on their website. And as a general rule of thumb, what he's actually coming from, it doesn't mean you have to have 32 pages or 132,000 pages, but you are demonstrating to your audience that you know what you're talking about, because you can demonstrate ways that they can solve their problems or come to you to solve their problems. And that becomes a very, very powerful beast. And what that does again is that takes us into social media and other elements of this as well. This is a really big one for me, and obviously we're in this society now of TikToks and Instagram Reels, so on and so forth, how we want quick consuming content again and again and again and again and again. If you're anything like me, I have wasted so many hours of my life scrolling and saving, and one day I'll go back and look at all those videos that I've saved. But when we think about our website and we think about that blog content, it's really, really easy, especially now with ChatGPTs and obviously lots of different variations, that we can just go and ask it to create an article, copy, paste, done. If you're doing it, so is everybody else. So we really need to think about what can we do to one-up our audience? What can we do to one-up against our competition? And how can we make our service, our solutions, our content and value we're trying to give just another piece better? A really nice little nugget for that one is, if you're looking at creating article content, for example, what you want to be thinking about is, I'll just go and Google what I'm searching, what I'm looking to create content around. Get that ideas, get that inspirations from those top 10 pages, and then think, that's great, but how can I do it better? What more can I add? What more value can I give? Could that be video content? Could that be more infographics and visuals? I come back to HubSpot as being a fantastic example of that, to make sure that every user can find the right way they want to engage. Let your users take control. This is my favorite. So Wix do a great example of this, and they take you on an absolutely fantastic journey. But if you think about that, which I'll show you in a sec, but if you think about what do we want our users to do, we want them to interact with our website. We want them to find value, do something, and ultimately for us, in the first instance, leave us some information so we can keep marketing to them in every other angle. And from this, what we can do, and examples of that, and one of my favorite examples is the VAT calculator. If you go and Google VAT calculator, this web page probably looks like that terrible Bill Gates example I showed you earlier, but it completely forms exactly what you need. It's just a VAT calculator. So in Google's eyes, fantastic, it solves the problem. It's just a nice basic calculator. But if we think about what we could incorporate those types of things into our website, if there's a little bit of gamification in there, so play some little games, interact, some types like even looking at your form submissions from a customer, from looking for inquiries. How often, if you've got a WordPress site, for example, you use contact form 7 and it's a bog standard piece. Go and use Typeform, find something more creative, get them kind of building the process before it happens. And that's where Wix absolutely crush it. I hate Wix, just to put that statement out there. There is definitely no affiliation. It's not quite for me, but it's all good. But the actual process of taking you through this methodology where you're continually committing the next step to build your website, they then present you with a template. So you're halfway there. You're even already there. You now just put in your payment details, and they've got you. Again, why I don't like Wix. But that ideology, again, you're engaging in that entire process. Think about your customer journey. Think about what you could grab from them before they actually come and interact with you. And that's not just data, that was just information about what they're looking to achieve. And again, like I said, Wix do this terribly well. I think it's quite a simple one as a general rule of thumb for everybody. We've all got our social channels and so on and so forth as a business, but we should be looking to actually bring that proof to our website if it wants to come. So, one of my favorite examples of this, these guys, it was part of the Zen founder example actually, but they're actually communicating rather than just we do this is our social stories, they're actually focusing on just some key little visuals, 150,000 paid customers, 3,000 global employees. And this doesn't matter if you're big or small. I run a small agency of 4 of us. We've been lucky this year to win a couple of awards, so that allows me to demonstrate some level of social proof. So you don't have to be these big global brands with humongous numbers to do that, but then also what you can do in this is demonstrate the types of industries you work with, case studies becoming increasingly more valuable in that process as well. So there's lots of different angles that you can come at that from as well. So that's all well and good, but how do you really make money? Before I jump into that part of the process, we really want to consider what I touched on earlier about grabbing email data, so on and so forth. That's considered a micro conversion. So we know that maybe depending on what services you offer, for example, I run strategy, search engine optimization, all different pieces of digital strategies and tactics. But they might not be necessarily ready to buy from me yet, but they want to learn more, they want to engage. So let's go and look for those little bits of data to grab from them, or even looking at your Google Analytics and pieces like that and trying to figure out where users are coming to, stopping, disappearing, and all those types of pieces, and we can begin to build things like gamification. So to use Wix's example earlier of taking you through that process, they enter their email address on the first one, but if they drop out on the 4th, we know there's a problem, but we've managed to get some data from them to at least get them back in that process. Macro conversions being what we truly care about as business owners, right? Or if we're reporting to our bosses. So naturally, e-commerce, transactional, inquiries, leads, so on and so forth, however you like to position that in your own businesses. Come on, we'll do it. So a couple of micro conversion opportunities here that you can think about. I love this. This is a piece of data from SEMrush approximately 3 or 4 years ago, and they talked about this process where they rolled out, instead of using a normal banner, which you would generally see when you're reading through an article and stuff like that with a big, huge call to action, they just went and changed a load of content. I pulled a HubSpot example here, but they basically pulled content and they just hyperlinked the text. And all of a sudden what they realized is it's true, banner blindness is a real thing. And it's so easy to do that. And the ability to incorporate internal links like this to take people to the relevant page you want to take them. Number one, really fantastic value from an SEO perspective, but more importantly, actually what you've got is an engaged reader because they're actually sitting and scrolling and reading. Again, if you think about that process, we're all used to the old crappy banner ads from the Sun or the Mirror or whatever dodgy app you read your news from, so on and so forth. But to actually get that sort of level of engagement and transaction to come through is, again, really, really powerful. Use scarcity, should get my words right. So again, with this, depending on where you're at depending where you're taking them in your user journey, in their customer journey with you, let's demonstrate how we can push for a little bit more urgency. It's very easy, especially as we're coming into Christmas, right? If you're whatever space you're in, I'll do that after Christmas now. Should we catch up in January, so on and so forth? What can we do? And again, AppSumo do a great example of this, of just trying to push you for a micro conversion of getting your email data. They put a delay, they drop the time frames. There's even more around this page from my screenshot, but they don't let, their language here of friends don't let friends pay full price, is the ability that you can then add your friends' contact details and then they can then begin to get discounts. On this page in particular, there was more call to actions, time banners, countdowns, all those sorts of pieces to make your page just seem more urgent. Oh, come on, we're getting there. Juicy value adds. One of my favorite things, one of my clients actually, they're an accountancy firm. I hated the idea of this. When you go to exit a site, they have an exit pop-up, and for years I've put everybody off that I knew about, because it's just rubbish. You want to leave as a user, you want to leave, right? Anyway, we had a big discussion, we had a big debate, and we tested it, and I was completely blown away by the results in a B2B environment as well, which, like I said earlier, it's very much feels like a much slower process, right, if you're in that space. But just by adding that contact us, it was a download document, And the amount of lead generation we achieved from that and then converted into sales was people that were generally interested in their solution and just needed an extra convincing. And it was a really, really powerful piece. So this example here is actually a full page pop-up versus bog standard pop-ups that we're used to seeing. So before you go, this would layer on top of the page as if you scrolled above to your, obviously type to your exit in your bar at the top. And again, such a really, really, really powerful piece that you can play around with. So again, just ask, give that value, but really think about what your customers truly, truly want in that process. So now we want to get onto the real money-making piece. So we've got some data, we've remarketed to them, we've emailed them, we've got their mother's maiden name and their bank details at this point, and we really want to start thinking about how we can start converting them. There's so many conversations and processes around, right, I need three forms or three pieces of data to be informed on, to be entered on this detail versus I would like 5 and I want 10. What that is ultimately for is a pre-qualification, because great, we can generate a business 100,000 leads, but actually 99,990 of them are complete dross. Why waste the team's energy and effort? So what my recommendation is here is focus on what content you've got on that page that is very, very concise, be very, very clear, just demonstrate exactly what you want, the simplest version of it, and then test it out. And then begin to grow it out. Rather than try and think about, I want to throw everything up on a page and bring it back in, which is what I've seen a lot of businesses and website owners do, actually start small and grow it out. If we can add extra piece of value, an extra testimonial banner, an extra case study piece, you can then begin to layer that out and begin to go through a bit of a methodology of, cool, we started with 2 inquiries, we've now got 4, we've now got 10, we've now got 200, or we've gone back down to 100 because we've changed X. So you can really begin to learn and think about what works for your users. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Hotjar. That's a really cool tool to actually see how users interact with your page. So you can, they put estimations on how you view, how the user views pages, what they click on, so on and so forth. But a freebie version of that is actually Microsoft Clarity. And again, really nice and easy tool to install and run with. As I just touched on, and I've jumped ahead of myself already, we want to think about what is that lowest, in that first instance as I mentioned, what is that lowest point of contact to get a level of inquiries in. If you've got nothing, start simple. Start plain and simple, then begin to grow it out. So for examples of this, I'm sure we've done them. I mentioned Typeform earlier as an interactive version of it, but just being able to collect name, email, what do you want, can then begin to evolve into some questionnaires. Are you the right fit for us as a business? Do we offer this XYZ solution? And so on and so forth. We can begin to, sorry, you didn't qualify, versus everybody comes in and our team, sales team, have to manage all this rubbish coming in the door. So again, a very, very sort of powerful step. I've talked of testing, and I'll talk a bit more about testing. You should consider, we want to consider how, where, number one, where our call to actions are across our site. Have we got, depending on what page we're on. So thinking about this from a landing page where we're ready to sell. We've got a contact form ready, so on and so forth. Do we just want to make our user scroll all the way down? Right to the bottom, as slow as that can feel, with a dross load of content to be able to say, do you want to inquire from us now? Or can we utilize the space where we can bring in users, give them something a little bit more interactive, and then take them straight to that if they're prepared, if they're ready to buy? Or we then give them that scope to begin to learn more. As I mentioned earlier, we test it, we start adding a little bit more each time and seeing what works. Come on, come on. There we go. I brought this one back up because it's a great example. But I come back to boost the incentives. So why do they need to buy from you now? We've talked about scarcity. How can we make that quicker? How can we make that more urgent in that sales process? What can we do to drive our users in? And easy examples of that are the promotions, the giveaways, the values. If a user is looking to move from that page, that pop-up could be, before you leave, actually, you can save 10, 20, 15%, 25%, 50% on whatever you are looking for. And then that becomes, again, another opportunity to grab our data in, to grab at least data or the conversion. And again, ooh, there we go, that's my face. We're somewhere. But again, with that, what that's going to allow us to do is really get across that whole process of article content where we want to demonstrate our authority coming into the system. We want users to come in and understand that we offer value, having nice non-bannered call to actions, etc. within our content and our text, driving those links through to our sales pages where we begin with a nice, small, concise landing page that when we then test and grow out. Some of the best successes we've had as an agency with our clients has been going through that methodology of starting small, particularly on those sales pages, those landing pages, and even e-commerce pages as well in that same instance. A few years ago, we got very heavy in regards to SEO and having loads of content on your pages, loads of context on every single page, and it just got insane. You're buying one product for £1 and you've got this much content to kind of contend with. Again, no user is really interested in that whole process, are they? They want to go, I'm here to buy this, I'm ready to transact, go to my cart and off I go. So following that whole process and methodology, you should begin to see that process of you're bringing that content, you're bringing those users to your site through whichever strategy works best for you, to then begin to convert them. And we know that people won't come to buy first time round, so even more follow-ons to this is additional landing pages to retarget via social media, email marketing campaigns, and so on and so forth as well. That's me. Don't know why that's popped in there. Hold on. That was very quick, wasn't it, and very cheesy. But just a reminder, so I'm Rob from the Pursuit Agency. We're up on table 66, although it's the end of the day, so get home early. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. But we are running a little bit of a competition on my cheesy QR code and my cheesy face. If you follow that QR code, there's a competition to win a full digital strategy. And what that involves is not just the UX review process I've talked about today, but essentially let's go and understand your ideal customer, let's go and understand your target market, let's go and understand your competitor base, and then let's start aligning ourselves with all the different strategies and opportunities that you can do. It should be the first link on that. If it goes wrong, let me know, and I can obviously just pop it up here. Were there any questions or anything, guys, that I can, in particular? Or even if...
Some SEO now with all ChatGPT. Do you think it's still relevant? Or?
Yeah, hugely. I think for me, what that's going to, kind of like I alluded to earlier, you're going to have a boatload of content that's just going to get churned, right? So now it just becomes a quality game. You can definitely use AI for that, but you have to practice AI. You have to think about your prompting. You have to think about really laying out the story. But for me, that just demonstrates the value of search, because all we're going to see is a change in the SERPs layouts in the future. I don't think it's going to come quite as quick as we all believe, but we have to think about creating just that great, valuable content that's useful. So if I come back to the point where I was talking about how you have your video content, infographics, that HubSpot, those HubSpot examples, which what they ask you answer is so great to discuss. It's about giving that user the right journey through that. And then Google, again, it's definitely not perfect, Google. I've been sat on many campaigns and I've gone, yeah, that's not doing what it's supposed to yet. We'll wait. But having that, you're only going to offer that value. And again, if search might not necessarily be your first port of call, you may be stood here doing an event, you may be email marketing quite heavily, but if you're continually adding that good value to your website, it comes back to who actually cares about that, your customers. Building that brand, using social media, so on and so forth. All, again, I think it's a compound process rather than I need SEO, I need PPC, or I need social media. We have to consider that fuller part of the journey as well now. But that's a very long-winded way of saying, yes, I definitely think it's still a game changer. Any other questions or anything, guys? All good? Cool. Well, I hope I wasn't too boring, and I talked incredibly quick, so thank you for putting up with me. And yeah, thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Thank you.